We start off the session with dumbbell push-ups basically, and my goal here is to do a pre-activation set for the following ones. With BFR, what you want to do is first do a set of 20 to 30 so you can incentivize the muscles to be filled with blood for the next sessions, and that creates the initial occlusion effect. And this is a huge benefit later for the stretch isolations due to the fact that when you take off the BFR things, your muscles and your tendons, of course, because although they are less vascular than the muscles, they're still going to get blood. Because of that reason, everything is warmed up and ready for the stretch isolations. I used to believe that the only way I could warm up for stretch isolation was with bands doing high reps, but BFR training showed me that there are other ways. This is why I'm doing diamond push-ups. The first set, I think I got close to 25, and then I had to rest pause it to get 30. I have to say, diamond push-ups with BFR feel exactly like a pushdown, like they're just straight up a pushdown. I would say, in fact, they might be even better because you get a heavier stretch, if that makes sense, and the BFR forces you to use the most basic variation to avoid getting like 5 reps on your third set. It's amazing the fact that I can now incorporate all the movements that I didn't use to do before because they were too easy and I had to do like advanced variations, and now I can enjoy a basic diamond push-up on the floor and still get arm gains from them without having to do like sets of 30 to 50. So that's always a plus. Then for the wide grip chin-ups, something I have found that actually works wonders is to externally rotate your arms. So you first start by grabbing the bar and you grab it with your pinky and your ring finger first and you secure with that. And then you wrap the rest of your hand around it and then you externally rotate your shoulders and tuck your elbows in. And then you want to remain in a pseudo dead hang position in which your arms are stretched, but you're not in a full dead hang position, so your shoulders are not going all the way down. In that way, you keep the biceps engaged and you can still curl yourself on every single rep. And before I would do super wide grip chin-ups, but then I found out that it was a little bit awkward on the wrist to do and it was not pleasant to do. And now I'm doing wide grip, if you will, chin-ups, which make a huge difference actually. And they feel exactly like curls, man. Exactly like ring curls on the top, especially when you're trying to grind the shit out of the last rep. It's just brutal. And it's really fun to do. It's a really fun movement to do. I actually enjoy it a lot. And I really don't get why people complain that you can't really develop the arms with calisthenics because these movements are amazing, man. And especially with BFR, I think that BFR was like the missing key in the calisthenics world. And everyone should try to incorporate at least some of it. And this is going to surprise you actually. I was considering buying BFR bands for my legs. You're probably like looking at your screen right now and you're like, what? You said what? Yeah, like imagine buying BFR bands for your legs. You're able to train with just basic squat variations, maybe lunges and Bulgarian split squats with just your body weight. And then doing ring hamstring curls on the rings. I mean, you basically have like a full leg workout. The only thing missing would be the erectors, which you can find ways of doing so. I think that once I'm able to buy enough weight, I'm going to start doing some barbell rows, which work your erectors and your upper back. I think that's like my favorite weights movement, to be honest, because it offers something that calisthenics simply cannot offer, and that is erector plus upper back work. So that may be the way I work my erectors, but for legs, you don't need to squat heavy. You can just use BFR. And I think that would actually be a little bit better for your joints, and you wouldn't have to be worried about like the fatigue aspect. The only downside of BFR training is the risk of having the straps on for too long or putting them too tightly. I made that mistake at first, and the issue you may stumble upon when you start doing BFR training is either adjusting them too hard, so you start to like feel numbness in your arms. I actually got scared because my arm color changed when I was working out. I was like, oh fuck, I need to take them off, you know? And if you do them for enough times, like a tourniquet. Yeah, outside of that, if you're a responsible adult with BFR bands, you're actually going to get a lot of benefits and they complement home training really well. Like I don't have to use bands anymore. Like I do neck bridges, I do my front neck bridges that I have discovered / invented myself. I don't know how you would call it. And then for arms, I can just use BFR stuff and the rings. I mean, I don't really have to use bands anymore. So I'm considering buying BFR bands for a friend of mine because I wanted to buy him bands so he can like properly warm up and don't like stumble into like tendon issues. because he already has rings, because of course every single friend of mine has to have rings. But then I was like, man, I have to get him some BFR bands. He may actually enjoy it. And the thing that is like detracting me from buying them to him is the fact that it might be too painful for him. Because let me tell you, I do some masochistic stuff on the channel, right? If you remember the old videos, I used to do like triple mechanical drop sets for triceps. I would do like cluster sets with inverted rows. Very recently, I did a supersetted prisoner style workout of inverted rows and decline push-ups leaning forward. And it was very similar to this, a little bit less even. And the reason why that is because the occlusion effect, just you feel so weak when you're doing every single set. You're trying to like push very hard and you feel like the muscles like contracting with everything they have. It just feels like you have something stuck in between the fibers of your muscle. It's hard to explain, but like painful. And it's like the most painful thing I have ever done in terms of like bodybuilding. So yeah, just in terms of bodybuilding for your interest. But going back to it, yeah, it's that's the only problem. If you don't have a lot of pain tolerance, you might actually want to avoid this because it's very tough mentally. It's very tough mentally because you're doing like sets of 20 to 30, maybe 15, and it's just like mentally draining, not physically draining, because you're like, fuck, this hurts, this sucks, I want to finish it as fast as possible. I actually don't take any rest in between sets. I just had to, for this video, I had to like waste 10 to 15 seconds like rearranging the tripod. But outside of that, I usually don't take any rest time in between the BFR sets because I want to keep that occlusion effect and I want to minimize the time that I'm with the straps. The longer you use them, the nastier the pump is and everything just gets disrupted. And the good thing about this is that you get the benefits of doing like heavy push downs, for example, or heavy JM press and heavy, like, let's just say curls, in this case with the wide grip chin ups. But you're not using that much weight. It turns like 5 kilograms into like 30, right? It's just insane. So you're pre-fatigue, you're absolutely done for the day, and you can then do your stretched isolations, which are a little bit more taxing on the tendons than your regular isolation, like for example push-downs. Your extensions are going to be more taxing than that in terms of your joints, and you're probably going to get more pain. But because you're using the BFR, your arms are completely warmed up, and when you start doing the isolation, you usually aim for higher reps with stretched isolation. Right now you can see the insane pump that I have from the BFR, and yeah, my arms are starting to change color, so that's the sign of like cut down the set. You can literally see in my face how uncomfortable the pump feels. And yeah, let me tell you, it feels amazing when you take them off because you can feel like all the blood rushing to the area. It's amazing. It's amazing. I really recommend you buying BFR bands. They're not that expensive. They are very convenient. They're basically the complement to rings. That's the best way to tell them. I used to believe bands were the complement to rings. This shit is the complement to rings. Now we're moving on to the stretched isolation part, which, I mean, what do you expect? Pelican Curls, the classic biceps builder for calisthenics athletes. If you noticed, I actually have the wooden rings now. And the reason why that is wood absorbs your sweat. So I don't have to use chalk for these ones. And also the wooden rings that I have are a little bit thicker than the ones that I have, the black ones, the PVC ones, and my sweat doesn't get in the way. And well, as you can see, Pelican Curls always difficult as fuck. I am now preferring to go higher reps with Pelican Curls. Before I used to go 6 to 10. Now I'm going more towards 12, 20, 12 to 15, something along those lines. And I don't know, man, it just feels better. I get a deeper stretch, I get a better pump, and yeah, I think it complements better the chin-ups because your capacity to exert high reps is always there, but you may not be always able to do reps of 6 to 10 or even lower. So that's why usually you want to start with the lower rep stuff and complement that with the exercise selection, right? But usually want to start with the lower reps and then move on to the higher reps as the session progresses, basically. I have to make a video about that. There's a couple of formats that I have to get into the channel. I'm going to start doing some type of like PowerPoint presentations. These videos are more of me talking like more casually and having a one-on-one talk with you guys. But then I want to make some more PowerPoint format videos where I teach you stuff, and it's more like, you know, those Mike Israel videos that were done back in the day before he sold out. You know, those videos where he would like have the PowerPoint on the 4:3 aspect ratio on one side and he will be talking on the other. Those were very good videos and videos that you really can replay over and over and over because they're just so entertaining but also so filled with information. I think they hit it right in the spot when it comes to balancing informational content and entertainment. So I want to make some type of format in that fashion. Also, the PNG format is still out there. And I want to provide you with more variety of content in general. That's why I'm experimenting with training vlogs again. Going back to the session, you probably saw with the ring extensions, something different. And that is that, well, of course, I do my mechanical drop sets on the rings, be it Pelicans or ring extensions. But you're going to see with the ring extensions, something I'm starting to do is doing them more pullover style. So what I want to do is drop my elbows as far back as possible, so I can properly stretch the long head as much as possible. And in that pullover position, if you will, I start doing the extensions from there. And it doesn't matter if I end up doing lengthened partials, even though I throw a lot of shit at Milo Wolf, you can use lengthened partials. He didn't invent them, okay? So I want to prioritize that position of like super stretch because you get a unique sensation. And I would say you get an even better long head stimulus that you get with like regular extensions. I usually feel like a lot of stretching I feel more of a stretch in the shoulder attachment part of the long head portion. And I think it is because of the position. And at the same time, I feel less elbow discomfort. And I really don't know why. Probably it's because of the angles and also because the tension is more distributed towards the shoulder side, which I have more sensitive elbow tendons. So that might be the reason. But it feels amazing. And I experimented this with people that I coach. They feel the same way. They told me it's the first time that I have felt my long head in such a way. And I think it has to do with the arm length. I think that if you have longer arms, although you might get a little bit extra in terms of presses when it comes to triceps activation, it's actually a drawback for arm growth because your elbow tendons tend to be a bitch. I think that the reason to why a lot of people experience elbow pain is for that specific reason, and people with like smaller joints don't. That's why I never found myself having like any type of knee problems because I have very short legs compared to the rest of my body, but I have very long arms. I actually have an index of like 1.088, I think it was the last time I measured, which is a lot. That may cause a lot of issues on the joints. So the taller you are, the more joint problems you're going to stumble upon. The shorter you are, the more bulletproof you are. So yeah, good things come in small packages. That's what my girlfriend used to say. So yeah, now we're finished off with the last sets. And for this part, I was like completely done. I was completely drained. And then you're going to see that I'm going on my knees for this one because it is a little bit more stable. I remember when I went to the gym, man, I was basically extending the whole stack for reps of 10. And I was very happy with that. It was a 2 to 3 pulley machine, I think. So then when I went to Croissant's place, instead of being at like 90 kilograms, it was more like 40. But still, very proud of my tricep strength. It just shows that calisthenics can actually offer you carryover to cable movements, but cable movements will not offer carryover to calisthenics movements. So here I think it's the last set of Pelican Curls. As you can see, I'm suffering and the pump is insane. You can see the veins everywhere. You can see the arms are super pumped and the shoulders as well are growing, even though I'm doing very little vertical pressing to failure. Now I'm adjusting the camera so you can see the mechanical drop set. So you can see the shoulders have actually grew a little bit, and that is because I have actually started focusing more on face pulls and Y raises instead of doing so much vertical pressing. And now I just do 3 to 4 sets of vertical pressing, high rep just for the shoulder health aspect, not so much the hypertrophy. And then I go to town on the face pulls and the Y raises. And now we have the last set of ring extensions. Again, you can see I go into a full pullover position and from there I start doing my elbow extension. Feels better than doing ring JM presses or the regular ring extensions. I actually build up to doing like very declined ring extensions for sets of 12. But it's just that I prefer this variation for sets of 30 just because it feels way better on the long head, which is what I want to target. I already do diamond push-ups, dips, a lot of triceps bias presses, which already work the lateral and medial head. So now I just want to focus purely on the long head to get that size. Later, I'm going to talk about in a future video about the previous session in which I did neutral grip BFR pull-ups, which have actually worked my brachialis way better than hammer curls or ring hammer curls even. So be on the lookout for that. I have to make a lot of X movement is legendary videos because there are a lot of underrated movements in the calisthenics world. So here we have the last footage, and it's me just flexing. The pump is insane. I'm very happy with how my back looks. It's looking pretty wide. The triceps have always looked pretty decent, and the shoulders as well. And very happy with my current physique, and the bulk is going pretty well, up to 76 kilograms and aiming for 80. So be on the lookout for more training vlog videos. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.